I would now like to invite three esteemed people to come forth. Professor Zdzislaw Mach, the Rector's Proxy for International Relations and head of the Center for and Eastern Studies for the UNESCO Chair for Education about the Holocaust at Jagiellonian University, who will address the aftermath of the Holocaust in Europe, followed by Professor Michael Berenbaum, please also come forward, the director of the Siggy Ziering Institute and professor of Jewish Studies at American Jewish University, to address the Holocaust in context, and then a special honor to receive remarks and an address from Edward Mossberg, a Holocaust survivor, who's one of our honored guests here at the March of the Living. Please come forward, Edward Mossberg. And so we turn first to Professor Zdzislaw Mach, who contributed tremendously to this symposium, and we extend our appreciation.
Well, thank you very much. It's not easy to speak after so many great speakers who address such essential issues, and also it's not very easy to speak so near the lunchtime. But so I would be brief. I'm not a historian, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm a sociologist and a European studies specialist, if I may say so. So for me, Holocaust is primarily the European matter and primarily the matter of the present. So I'll be sharing with you a few brief thoughts concerning the aftermath of the Holocaust within the European context. At present, European integration creates a new common European frame of reference in which memory and identity are constructed and reconstructed. Nations must rethink their past and their memory in this new frame, taking into account other interpretations, other voices, other memories, the memories and interpretations of other nations, other people. The Holocaust is, without any doubt, of course, as we all know, the most tragic experience in the European history. It belongs to Europe as a whole, and it's always been I've always been convinced that this is the way we should approach the Holocaust. That's why, in my modest way, I placed the Holocaust studies at this university institutionally in the context of European studies, because I think we can only understand the Holocaust as part of, paradoxically as it sounds, as part of European civilization, the darkest moment of it. Holocaust belongs to Europe as a whole, as memory and as a warning, so that it would never happen again. It changed, I believe, forever European views of otherness, prejudices, intolerance, establishing new cultural and moral standards. But this does not, unfortunately, mean that all that was dangerous that led to the Holocaust has disappeared. The monsters of prejudices, nationalisms, racial hatred, religious intolerance still do appear in Europe. Frustration generated by fear, unfulfilled aspirations, anomie, inadequate education for tolerance and pluralism lead to nationalistic radicalism and hatred, also in this country, but also elsewhere in Europe, as we all know. This is also why education about the Holocaust is so much needed, and that's I'm very glad that UNESCO decided to establish a chair of the education about the Holocaust here in Poland at this university, to show that this is really an essential issue and essential endeavor. But everywhere in Europe, we have been witnessing different actions, different initiatives to rethink our memories, difficult memories, to confront tragic memories, and to put it in the context of European dialogue, European frame of reference. I remember the famous French philosopher Jacques Derrida, who'd been traveling all across Europe, talking about the need to rethink the role of France and French politics during the Second World War in the context of the Holocaust. Two coinciding processes are developing in Europe at present. On the one hand, national memories and interpretations are struggling for recognition in the European frame of reference. Nations mainly are trying to have their voices heard in Europe, to have their historical experience, their memory recognized. And Poland is one of those, that since we became member of the European Union, there's been a lot of initiatives in order to not only communicate our historical memories to the rest of Europe, but also to convince Europe that our experience is not only important to us, but it may enrich Europe. But at the same time, nations must adjust their memories to the common European frame of reference and European narrative. The Holocaust is now a challenge for collective memories, also for those nations and those countries which previously did not really identify with the lesson of the Holocaust and did not accept its responsibility. If you want to be European, you have to accept it. It's all very nice to be proud of the great achievements of European civilization, but it also means that you have to accept the dark side of it, the dark side of European history, European civilization, such as colonialism, and especially the Holocaust. This country, Poland, is a good example, and here I can speak both as a scholar, but also as a Pole. In its own Polish mythologized history, the Polish nation likes, especially in a more nationalistic version, likes to present itself as a great, indeed, ultimate sufferer, a victim of oppression. We like to think of ourselves as sufferers, as the greatest sufferers. We are known to be able, or to be willing and very good at celebrating different tragedies, perhaps better than victories and successes. That's part of our national identity. One version of it, but quite popular. In some extreme version, Poles even think of themselves, or used to do it, as Jesus Christ of nation. This is why Poles find it very difficult to accept any guilt, any responsibility, any blame, any responsibility for other people's suffering, or even to recognize that others suffer more. After all, Jesus Christ bears no blame, and he is the ultimate sufferer. So it is hard, from looking at it from this point of view, to cope with the truth of collaboration, even if it were only some members of the Polish nation who collaborate with the Nazis, or it is difficult to cope with the truth as revealed by Jan Tomasz Gross and others about Jedwabne and other atrocities. In recent decades, the Polish nation have been confronted with its own memory, its own identity, in relation to other people's memories in the European frame of reference. We had to rebuild our collective memory and our collective identity, not only after 1989 because of freedom, because of openness, but also because we had to learn what other nations, other people think about us, about our history, And in this new dialogue, in the new, as I said, European frame of reference, a new understanding, new interpretations have been created. But of course, we have to understand that, unfortunately, freedom does not necessarily mean that people move in the direction of more openness and more tolerance. They may use their freedom in order to be more radical in a direction which we may not necessarily like them to go. And in this country as well, many people use their freedom in order to express extreme views of a nationalistic type, which I hope this nation would be strong enough to call by name and stop before it's too late. European integration requires that the memory is Europeanized, meaning that it is adjusted to the European frame of reference, to the European standards and values. To be truly European means to feel proud of Europe's achievements, but also to accept responsibility for the dark moment of it. It's only then and only then we can build integrated Europe as something more than common market, and only then we can collectively hope that we can fight against what we all identify as the dangers of today. Thank you.